Today, new directive from our corporate overlords. We all have to wear these shirts, apparently. This is ChillPoint.
Question.
Yeah.
Which puppet is our corporate overlord?
I feel like that's one of those things that if you think you know who the true corporate overlord is, that is actually just a false front, and the shadowy
Right.
real
It's-
one, the one who's really in charge.
It's Bartleby in a hoodie, isn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Like a
Possibly.
black hoodie.
Yeah.
The shadowy figurehead.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Hashtag not sponsored. What? I don't technically know. I don't know what it is actually officially designated as. If it's your own stuff,
If it's your own
is
stuff,
that-
it's not
is that
considered
just
sponsored.
you sponsoring yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah.
It literally says on the Twitch guidelines that if you're talking about like your own Patreon or whatnot, you don't have to call it sponsored. So as far as I'm concerned, if it's all us, it's not sponsored.
It's
All right.
third party.
You already know that we like ourselves. Well, most of us do. Some of us are still working that out.
Anyway, hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint, show where we talk about the week's video game news, as well as the stuff that we talked about on this week's checkpoint. And in this case,
It fits over my hat.
ooh,
That's really
the
snazzy.
bill of the hat makes it like stick out a little farther too.
It's why I asked them to make the thing bigger in the first place.
It is a nice deep hood.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that we do on this show, which only comes up occasionally, is that it is a chance for us to update and or issue corrections
Yes.
on stories that we talked about on Checkpoint, because often news changes.
And
as
sometimes we're
stuff
wrong.
goes. And sometimes there is one of those like Mandela effect things where we're not wrong,
Right.
but the entire universe changes after we're finished writing the Checkpoint episode to make it appear as if we were wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're wrong on purpose. Sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
That's true. We also often write stories that are incorrect deliberately because we find it funny.
Yes.
Yes. Those we won't tell you about, except we might.
Occasionally we'll write stories wrong because the reporting that we're sourcing it from got it wrong in the first place.
There's that too.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question, Beach.
Yes.
Since Seth Meyers does that correction show,
Yes.
and I believe he keeps saying that after episode 100 he's going to stop.
Yeah.
Can we just take it from him?
We should just steal the format and we should do it ourselves. You
But
can
can
send
we
all your
pretend,
Mac tonights to us.
Can we pretend to be him?
Yeah, probably.
Like just
Yeah,
three
I'm
of him?
losing my hair in much the same way, I think, along the
Yeah.
top bits.
It's not
That is-
quite the same dark gray.
No.
But
No, but if I stress myself out a little more, we'll get there.
That is such a.
Wait, can we not?
It is a weird. That is a weird show.
It is
I
so
love
weird. I
it.
love it so much.
I love
I
corrections.
wish he would. I wish he would keep doing it, but find a different way, maybe to make it less painful.
The way that often there's just like weird silence after things is
Oh, but
very
his
odd.
facial expressions sometimes are so good.
I like
He
the
stares off into space.
I like the fact that it is kind of just his writers who want to stick around and the crew who want to stick around. That I'm just like, I like that it's just that group of people, because I'm like, right, you're not making a show for anybody but the people in this room. And then you decide to show it to the rest of us. It's kind of great.
Anyway,
Why are we here?
yeah, let's look at the stories.
Did we
that,
talk about what we are?
I thought
Yeah,
we did.
we did,
Did we? Okay, I
Yeah,
wasn't paying
yeah.
attention. I was trying to derail fast, and I think I missed.
Oh, you like derailed the train behind us.
Not as fun. Couldn't see it
Let's
coming.
try this for a while.
So,
Now we all match.
first we're talking about Warner Brothers and their silly statement about or their I guess this is like this is the head of their gaming division, streaming and gaming, I think it is, talking in a interview with a Morgan Stanley event, on the topic of WB's future plans in gaming, and so they were talking about that they don't like the volatility in the video game market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, neither do I. They should stop laying people off.
Like the whole thing where if you make a good game, people buy it, but then you make a bad game and people don't buy it.
It's like, come on, we're making a game here, and
What
whether it's
more
good
do
or
you
bad,
want?
you need to buy it.
So their idea to solve the volatility problem is that with live service games, people will buy it and then keep giving them money,
They'll never stop.
and that way,
You have to make one game.
That way, they have a consistent revenue source.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if
Now-
every company only makes one live service game,
Yeah,
that's, I don't know, what, like 50 live service games we all have to play?
yeah. So the system breaks down a little bit if
In reality?
nobody likes the live service game.
How about that?
And which is a problem because nobody likes any live service games.
That's a problem for outside of the C-suite.
I mean-
That's not true.
Probably not true. There's a few that have managed to stick around, right? When we talk about live service, you're talking about like subscription-based stuff and
So
whatnot.
Final
right?
Fantasy 14.
Still
Well, no,
live.
that MMO is slightly different than
Live
service.
Yep.
Destiny, I
Yeah.
think, would probably be the biggest live service,
Is
most successful
Fortnite
live
a
service. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, it's a little bit of a.
I'm kind of blurring some definitions of stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky genre.
Because free to play doesn't necessarily mean that it, like a free to play where they're like, we're asking for you for money every month, or we're asking for you for microtransactions to fund the continual operation of this game is not quite the same
Well,
as.
and I guess the big big defining factor with the live service games is consistent or constant updating and changing the game after it's already come out.
That sounds like Fortnite to me.
Yeah, so Fortnite would probably qualify for that.
Okay. Yeah. Whereas something like WoW, it's like you get expansions for it, but it's drawn out more. It takes more time for those things to appear, so it's not quite thought of as a regular schedule, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, and sometimes, like Fortnite doesn't have a battle pass in the same way that like Destiny does. Like you don't have to pay for each update in Fortnite.
Right. Okay.
But-
fair.
The more people play Fortnite, the more people buy the in-game stuff, which is
Yeah.
where they make the money. So
Yeah.
works either way. Anyway, so yeah, that's his idea is that he wants to make the thing, and this is on top of the fact that surprising many of us, the Hogwarts Legacy game was one of the best-selling games of 2023. There's argument whether
Asterisk.
how accurate those numbers are, but regardless, it was a very well-selling game,
Right.
and it's a single-player game.
Yeah.
They just brought out the Justice League Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which was a live service game, and is people are very unhappy with it. There's sort of mass refunding and all this kind of stuff with it. Now there's two aspects to this story that we should talk about. One, in the original story, talked about Arkham Knights.
Gotham Knights.
Or Gotham Knights, sorry, yes. Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad as both being live service games. People very rightly called us out in the comments that Gotham Knights is not, in fact, a live service game.
Oh, okay.
And so that's our bad. Although in our defense, it was a very poorly received game.
Oh, good.
And I guess in my mind, it's like big game that is multiplayer and nobody likes, and live service game got kind of connected together in my mind.
Yeah.
That's telling.
Right. But no, our Gotham Knights was not a live service game. It was just a disappointing multiplayer game.
Yeah.
That is what I've heard. I've not played it. I feel like I'm not going to because anyone I've heard talk about it doesn't have nice things to say about it, which is too bad because it is kind of, it's got some characters in it that I do like out of that universe, but it's fine. I have enough video games to play. I don't need another one.
Yeah. It's also, Gotham Knights was particularly, because Gotham Knights was also Rocksteady, who doing Suicide Squad as well, and it was the like, people are very disappointed in Suicide Squad, and Gotham Knights was before Suicide Squad, also being in this sort of realm of like the Arkham City, Arkham Knight, all of those games. Everyone really liked.
Right.
And everyone was like, Rocksteady, you're awesome.
Yeah.
And they brought it this, and everyone's like, ooh, this is less good. And then Suicide Squad, and everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, is the shine off? Well, who knows?
Yeah.
But as far as the CEO is concerned, that getting money all the time for a single game that they've paid to create is a much better deal than getting money in one big dump for a game they paid to create.
Now,
Gotham Knights was done by WB Games Montreal.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna mention that now because I think we've called it Rocksteady. We've said it was Rocksteady in the past on ChillPoint, and I think people have said that that's not the case.
All right.
Maybe
it's a different team.
Maybe it takes place. Maybe
I think probably
maybe
same
it takes
universe
place in
or
the
something.
same universe.
But yeah.
I don't know why. I guess it was connected in my mind again because it was sort of a similar Batman-y type thing.
Okay.
Thank you for that correction. Anyway, so now I'm not for more industry consolidation, but it kind of sounds like they want to just have sell their games on a subscription service.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the solution to the consistent income thing.
Yeah.
Not have a one subscription game, but if you have a subscription, if you've got Game Pass or whatever, you can release games, and some of them will be good, some of them will be bad.
But who cares? It'll all even out, right?
Well, that's the hope anyway.
Diversification of portfolio basically
Right,
states
yeah.
that you spread your stuff around everywhere, and then if any part of the market takes a hit, then it's doesn't matter. We made some money somewhere, even if we lost some money somewhere else.
But they must be losing money on games they already have up because they want to get rid of all of the.
So yeah, this is the other weird thing is presumably
Cartoon Network or
so presumably there's been some internal reshuffling within Warner Brothers Discovery, which is something that I've had to read a lot in the last couple days because of looking at stories about this.
Yeah.
And it looks so awkward in text because it's Warner Bros. Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like two Warner Brothers are discovering things all the time. But that's the name of the company since they bought Discovery a while ago. And so, we talked about, I think just in the after show, Graham talked about the Small Radios, Big Televisions, which is a little indie game that was that was published by Warner Brothers back in the day.
Yeah, it was made for the Adult Swim Games imprint, I think.
Yeah.
right.
And it hasn't, it's the guy doesn't work at WB anymore, but he got residuals from it apparently, which were extremely small. But he was informed that it's going to be removed from the App Store or from Steam. And where the other stores and stuff. So in this particular case, he put it up for free download.
Yeah.
But it turns out, that story came out a couple days ago, and then story came out yesterday or this morning. It turns out that was he was just the first one to actually like first developer to mention it, that in fact WB is taking down all of the Adult Swim games.
Yeah, I figured if there was going to be one falling and it had to do anything with the Adult Swim games thing, I'm like, oh, they're closing that. They're closing that imprint. They're basically saying they're like, we've decided that it costs us more money to have to think about this thing being out there than it does to say now it's not out there anymore and we don't have to think about it anymore.
And yeah, they've many of the developers again, so Adult Swim operated as a publisher for various indie people, and from what I understand, back in the day when I think it was like 2017 or 2018, 2016, something like that. Yeah, it was when they were sort of the most prolific. They were quite a haven for little indie games, and they really let people do what they wanted to do, and they had that freedom.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't done anything for a long time. They haven't been actively doing game stuff, but they were just sort of there. And now they're being all removed from Steam. Many of the developers are still developers, and they were like, could you just, if you don't want the game, could you just transfer it to my Steam account?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, because we technically still own it. Like we paid to publish it, right?
They're like,
Well, it depends on when it comes to games like that. It'll always depend on what the contract that the devs made with the publisher are. If you put in the contract that the publisher has like the sole rights to publish that or anything like that, the game's not really yours anymore.
Yeah.
Well, but it's in some cases it has been returned to the devs.
Yeah.
And because of how Steam works, so the devs could put the game up.
Yeah.
But because of how Steam works, it will be a new game. So anybody who had previously bought it would have to buy it again. They won't get updates to it. Like it's a completely disconnected thing.
Oh, that is a weird thing.
All of the, the decades worth of trophies and forum posts and screenshots and playthrough videos, all the community aspect part of Steam will be destroyed for that thing.
Right. Interesting.
Or they could transfer it. Like you could transfer a game to a different person and maintain all of that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But they have decided not to do that.
Yeah.
And the developers are like, it's literally like 3 clicks to do it. Come on. But
that's apparently
not.
Huh. That's really weird.
I mean, the thing is like, even beyond just weird, I think what it is, because to me it's like, this makes complete sense given the activity we've seen come out of Warner Brothers Discovery in terms of how they've been treating a lot of their materials. It's like, I completely believe that you would say, we're just pulling all this stuff. Especially if there is a tax burden that they're relieving by doing that.
And yeah, I mean, and being very the one of the developers in this article I was reading was being very conciliatory and being like, like
they can do this,
and it's like they can do this, and there is a non-zero accounting liability for a game that is probably not selling very much.
Yeah.
They have to make sure they have to write me, and do all the accounting and stuff to write me, the whatever.
The 10-cent check.
10-cent check in Canadian dollars because he's a Canadian thing. So, there's a non-zero accounting liability on that.
Yeah.
And, if you're somebody kind of separate from that aspect of the company, just looking at the balance sheet, being like, let's just trim this down, keep a nice thing, but without the sort of paying attention to what the implications of that are.
Well, and the thing is, from Warner Brothers Discovery perspective, it's like, do we own Adult Swim games? Yes. Do they own all the rights to all of these games? Yes. So then we can just stop having them be present? It's like, yes. Okay, well then stop having them be present. And if somebody in the room is like, could we just divest ourselves of all this. Is like, well, I mean, if they want to buy the thing back, we're more than happy to negotiate a price they can pay for their own
Again,
game
I'm
back.
not saying that they're not going to there's a difference between transferring the game on Steam or the devs have the rights to the game in the first place so they can put it back up on Steam.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they don't have those rights. I'm just saying that it's never a thing of like, oh, dev made game, dev owns game. It depends
dev has
on
sole copyright.
It depends on contracts and things, and those are always different.
But there's that there. So I feel I don't know. I feel like I'm going in a circle trying to get this out. I'm not saying that you're wrong about that. Obviously, I know that from Warner Brothers' perspective, the absolute just the most mercenary side of why don't we just say we shut all this shit down, because the attitude. That's what I'm trying to get to. What do we care that this thing is going away? And that's true with everything they've been doing. It's like entertainment. You've had a good time. You've had a good experience. We don't give a shit about that. What we care about is we made a thing so that you would pay for it, and then you paid for it, and we don't give a crap about artistry, and we don't give a crap about how anybody feels about the things that are made, or that whether we've paid for them or whether we made them ourselves. We don't give a crap about anyone's emotional involvement in any of this stuff, despite the fact that what we make is dreams. And that's what kills me here, is I'm like, wow, like it's all of the little things where they're like, oh, we're going to shut down a bunch of tiny indie games. I'm like, even the things that you're losing 50 cents a year on, that you're like, you know what we'll do? We'll generate a fuck ton of bad press because it's better for us to be 50 cents up on the balance sheet. And I'm like, ugh.
I mean, for the people who are making those decisions, who I'm assuming are executive level people who are making those decisions.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned. That's why they're there.
And it's not like the dude who runs the place has said anything about like, oh, well, you know what we need is we lost all this money in all these DC games, all these DC Comics or DC Universe games. So what we're going to do is we're going to shit can DC Comics because clearly it doesn't make any money. That's not at all what he said either, right? He's like, no, what we need to do is we need to convince all these rubes that they need to pay us a lot of money for DC stuff. And if there's a way we could write a law into like every friggin' country in the world that says that you owe Warner Brothers Discovery $50 a month from now on until you fucking die, they would do that, because that's the kind of attitude that they're giving off. Is like, we don't give a shit about the stuff that you like. We only give a shit about the fact that you give us money for it. And I'm like, I hate that I'm saying all this.
Yeah.
I hate that that's like, it's like, man,
it's like
you're supposed to be more than just that, right?
It's like, yeah, that's capitalism, but you're supposed to hide it.
Well, you're supposed to not really be for it.
Yeah.
But you work within it, right? Like,
yeah.
That's, yeah.
It kind of just feels like it's the first time ever we're hearing it out loud, and it's like, wow, that does not feel great to know that that's what's happening. But yeah.
Anyway, I suspect I was pretty happy with the picture of the guy with the finger up his nose.
Yeah,
I've
what is it? The artist rendition of
artist rendition of average gaming company executive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like I might get some use out of that picture in future episodes.
It's good.
Do you have like a folder where you keep the ones that you think you'll use most often?
I don't, but I do have a couple
some
of
more generic ones, like
yeah,
the money
I
pile
do,
and whatnot.
I do have ones that I go back to, if I want to have the like whatever, we don't control what B says.
Oh,
graphic,
I do like that one. They made that,
or the turn safe search off.
I think they made
graphic.
that a sticker or something in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are good graphics. I'm glad we get use out of those.
All right, let's move on to this Nintendo Switch ad, which is actually...
I meant to watch that.
Is actually following some other recent Nintendo ads. Is I think quite well done, We're talking about all the sort of mercenary stuff, and yeah, obviously Nintendo is a company like any other, but it's kind of heartwarming.
Yeah, it's sentimental.
It's and trying to and the aspect of it that they're sort of emphasizing is is that not just the nostalgia, but the sort of not the game itself, but the culture and the sort of camaraderie and the stuff around it. Like the other, there's the other one with the guy, the overworked guy playing Zelda.
Yeah.
That was it definitely was a rather than just be like, look at all the cool graphics in our thing, right?
I've read books like Iwata Asks and what was it? There was like a Nintendo Power or something book that I think Lord Hosk sent you that I read and a bunch of stuff. And when you read about like certain people within the company, they really like to focus on, especially in the Japanese side of things, that games are meant to be shared and like played and fun and all of those things. So having a commercial that's very, hey, this nostalgia for this device I was playing when I was a kid and that I have family memories about that and whatnot is very within that branding.
Yeah.
And of course, it. I don't think people are seriously, mad or thinking about, that sort of like, I'm crumbling to dust because I'm so old.
Yeah.
It's just mostly like, yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like it is kind of like anybody else who sees something like this happen, where they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to get some reflected clout myself by being like, oh no, I'm so old now," and ultimately, like, and that's the thing. To us, the 3DS is not a retro console. And I don't think anybody would actually just shut it down, right? It's like, I don't think anybody would actually really believe that. You're right. But there is that thing of like, oh man, but I had one of these back when I was in high school, and they're showing that there's these like 6-year-old kids playing with it, and I'm so old, and I'm like, right, yeah, but dude, when you hit your 40s, it's true what they say. As you do get older, you gain a lot of perspective. And I'm finding that the older I get, I'm like, wow, I'm gaining some perspective on some stuff, watching how other people talk about things.
About some things, anyway.
It's true. A lot of ways you end up with your head up your ass about other stuff. So it
is interesting the way there is that aspect that, and I don't think it is just coming from whatever, millennials or people of our generation, the idea that retro as a descriptor for a video game is kind of stuck in the sense that it doesn't move like it's basically at that sort of side scroller pixel art. Not necessarily side scroller, but pixel art certainly.
And it's kind of how I think about
whereas like in the time since the first of those style of like since like say Shovel Knight has come out.
Yeah.
If Shovel Knight had come out, relative to like where this Nintendo is, the pace of retro should have moved forward to, PlayStation and stuff.
Right.
And people have tried it. I've seen a couple of games that have been like retro in the sense of like early PlayStation games, as in not pixel art, but like sort of janky 3D art.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit the same way.
Well, like, what was it? If you're going for something that's kind of in that older styling, was it Penny's Big Breakaway is supposed to be kind of that idea because it's made by the Sonic Mania team, so it's supposed to be that classic 3D platformer collect stuff that now you might consider retro, but when we say a video game is retro style, we still refer to that as 2D pixel graphics.
Well, and there is also an aspect, like in some ways I would almost call like what was the game people were playing before Helldiver? The other jump.
Oh, like that style of game.
Like Lethal Company.
Lethal Company. That was
Yeah.
one. Like in some ways, Lethal Company had sort of that retro, because it was sort of pixelated. Because the problem, of course, when you're dealing with 3D games, is that how they look bad or like retro.
Yeah.
How they used to look was that like all the textures would be all kind of smeary and low resolution,
Yeah.
low poly models and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when you make a retro game like that on a new system, you've got the problem where all of the geometry is like super clean and high res.
Yeah.
Because it is just geometry.
Yeah.
And so it ends up looking like, like how those games would be if you put them on a new thing, but it ends up looking kind of cheap rather than kind of quirky and fun.
Because something like we'll draw on some Zelda experience here, that the Wind Waker remake, like the HD remaster of Wind Waker, is that, this is how I remember it, and then you look how it actually looked in the GameCube, and you're like, bah, like you're surprised by that, but you're like, there's something about doing that HD remake and making everything look a certain way that you're like, it all feels like it did from a long time ago. It's just 1080p, so everything's crisper and the lines are cleaner and whatever. But nothing about the aesthetic has been updated, right? It's just the graphics that serve the aesthetic,
Right?
And that's what I think is kind of cool. That in that respect, it's like, right, you might have added more triangles to everything, but in a way, you kept the aesthetic the same as what people had back then. You just made it look a little. You made it look a lot crisper.
We've had that with some of the pixel stuff that touts being retro as well, though, because they have the pixelized look, but they're definitely drawing from a larger color palette.
Well, and
That's
things
true.
like
That's true, yeah.
like Octopath Traveler, like anything that's been done in 2.5D is
Love the HD too.
definitely all feels that it. Oh, look at how retro it is, but
Except it's not at all.
could
retro.
never be like that.
Yeah.
back in there, and even
It's
like
so cool. Looks like little dioramas.
one like Unicorn
Yeah, that's
Overlord
that's
was another
almost,
thing.
Yeah, that's almost like not even pretending to be retro. That's almost like it's like almost like parodying a retro style.
Yeah.
But
One
it
of-
gives you that feeling. It's like going to a retro diner, right? Where you have that sense that it's like, I'm going here. It's the 1950s. Like, it sure isn't. But everything about it feels retro-futurist. And so you're like, it feels like this is what the 1950s was like. And it's like, not really. Or like my favorite meme is the picture of the kid's bedroom in the 1990s with like big frickin' squiggles all over the walls and like everything's in teal and hot pink and like all that. And it's like, man, show me that you lived in the 1990s. And someone's like, okay. And you get a picture of their bedroom and it's like wood paneling on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like old frickin' dial television and stuff. They're just like, but
You're
that was
like,
like the 1970s.
80s,
I'm like, no.
70s.
It wasn't. That's what the 1990s was like for 95% of us. Like, it was like that.
Anyway,
I want to explain what I like about this commercial, though, too.
Oh,
Because
sure.
I was saying to Heather that what I like about this commercial is that it's Nintendo, okay? Except the fact that it ultimately has to be an ad for the thing that they make. But what they're selling here, like they got the product in front of you. What they're actually selling here is a feeling, and people being like, oh, well, you have to buy Nintendo. What they're saying is you have to buy Nintendo to get this feeling. It's like, that's not what they're saying at all. They're saying that, remember when you had this experience with your younger sibling or with a friend at school or whatever, you two found something to agree on that you both really loved, and it's what made you friends. Because you can have a sibling, as you know, and not be friends with them at all, I'm sure. That you've run into some opportunities where you're like, Jesus Christ, I hate my brother. Like, if you grew up with a sibling, you have that experience.
we're friends now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you get older, sometimes things get better.
But when you find ways that you can make a connection with with a sibling or with like a friend or anything like that, that transcends the thing that you found that made you friends, and you can rekindle that because they show that they're giving you in a very quick shorthand. It's like the two brothers obviously grew apart. One of them's going to move on to wherever the hell he's moving on to. And he realizes, he's like, man, we used to get along so well. And what triggered that real thought was I found my 3DS and I remembered, back playing Pokemon in the day. They sit down to play Switch together and they start to bond over Pokemon again. It's like, right, Pokemon was their shared experience, but that could have been the card game, right?
It could have been the card game. It could have been a different Nintendo game. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, they could have. They could have
right?
loved Dragon Ball, right? They could have like both been like really into Dragon Ball, and that would have been their thing. What they're trying to say in this commercial is like the 3DS has that effect, and that we're still making this good stuff today. Enjoy that. But the lesson you should walk away with is that you can find those things, and you can find the way to transcend the relationship or pull the relationship back together, and it doesn't have anything. It should not have anything to do with the fact that it's a Nintendo product. That's what you should walk away from this commercial really feeling.
I will say, I mean, I've thought about it before, as somebody who has literally played a lot of Pokemon with my brother.
Yeah.
There are way better games that you should play with your brother or with your sibling. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is not a good multiplayer game. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There are lots of great multiplayer games to play with your sibling. Pokemon is not a good one for that. It's a fine Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I think in the commercial, it's more that they're playing it and they're watching each other play it, and I think we all have those kinds of memories.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Of like playing a video game and having your friend watch it, and we do that now, but we stream it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about another thing here that is that we have an update for actually. So Graham had this story about the about Epic getting kicked out of the App Store again after trying to get in with their like
Epic Games Sweden.
Epic Games Sweden.
Did you make that graphic, or was
I
that?
I did.
Oh, okay, cool.
I will say that the idea that like each Epic Games country's division, like the Epic Games logo is just like a big black thing.
Yeah.
So like they could easily put like the different flags.
Yeah,
in there and
I honestly thought it looked
good.
really good. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am available for logo consultation, Epic. Not cheap though.
I think they have the money
That's what
for
I mean.
now until we
It's a sliding
bankrupt them
scale.
through free games.
Anyway, so yeah, they got kicked out of the App Store, but this morning, or at least it was released this morning. It's back. The Apple has relented, and they have been allowed. The Epic Sweden has been allowed back into the App Store.
But we don't have any report as to why that might be at this point. I
Epic
guess.
said, the wanker Tim Sweeney said that it was the European Commission or something.
Well, yeah. So it's
according to him.
yes. I don't think any. I don't think any actual.
We're talking about the EU. I think I can use wanker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think any actual decision or sort of official thing was applied.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that the threat of this DMA, the Digital Markets Act, which I believe is going into effect very soon in the next couple of weeks, is what changed. So they didn't. There wasn't like an arbitration or anything, but the threat of the idea that this is going to happen changed Apple's mind, and maybe there was some backlash. Although I don't know if there was that much backlash that they really would have cared. It might have been just one of those things that the DMA went into effect today. Oh, okay. I thought it was still a little while away.
And the thing is, so
they're ahead of us by time zones, so they're in the future.
I think it's important that governments have a means to intercede when it comes to how businesses conduct business. I think like regulation, and in a lot of cases, the United States needs more regulation about how businesses do business, because it's very obvious that people are getting away with a lot of shit that they shouldn't be able to get away with. That's why the EPA exists. That's why, all these other organizations exist, and they should be given more power. I can get into shit about the Chevron doctrine anyway, but I don't live in the States, so anyway, I think it's good that if the European Commission is saying we are upset about this, and therefore we are demanding that Apple allow everybody into their developer program so that everybody has an opportunity to make alternative app stores and that everyone is allowed to have a developer account, like that they're saying, okay, we see a need to intercede here. But at the same time, I don't agree with the fact that if you're showing the case that's like, hey, these guys, no matter whether their point is a good point or not, they still entered into a contract under the auspices of deliberately saying they were going to break it. Like they were like, we totally will follow your contract. Ha 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 ha. Actually, we were never going to do that in the first place. I'm like, I don't think that it's right that a government should then get involved and then would say you can't do that. So I don't know if the EC is at the root of this specific thing that Apple's doing.
So from what I understand, this doctrine has gone into effect.
Yeah.
But and sort of applied a blanket thing. I don't think the government has actually interceded on behalf of Epic specifically in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would have been something that Epic would try to get them to do.
They would have had to have made a complaint.
But it was unnecessary because Apple relented.
Yeah.
Now the thing went into effect today, so maybe, there may have been some posturing on the part of Apple that they were like, kick them out and then, okay, we'll let you in.
Yeah.
There may also be, behind the scenes, the contract that, we don't know, but the contract that Epic Sweden signed, the developer contract or whatever, might have been different than the standard boilerplate developer contract.
There's that too.
Maybe it had some stuff in there about what they're not allowed to do or the kinds of penalties that will be put into place.
Yeah, because you've already broken the contract once, so you have to sign a slightly different contract now. I mean, well, that's what Phil Schiller was even, like, there's emails that have come out. I saw these on Daring Fireball, and for Phil Schiller to write back to Tim Sweeney and say, hey, you've already broken this contract once. We're going to need some more assurances that you're going to follow the rules. And Tim's response essentially, hey, bro, don't worry, right? Like, this comes across in the story, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like...
And while he is current, and then he's like posting stuff on...
Yeah, and he's being shitty about
social media about,
Yeah, but my expectation is that if I got into agreement with somebody and then I blatantly broke the agreement and I was like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? And then we had a huge fight about it. And at the end, I was like, okay, but for reals though, let's make an agreement again. I would not be, I should not be surprised if the person I was trying to make, that I broke the agreement with in the first place, being like, no, I'm going to need you to be a little more explicit about your understanding of this contract. And you need to, I don't need you to kiss my ass. That's not what I need. I just need you to state the things that you understand about this contract and that we are both going to start again. And that's how we're going to trust each other, is by actually not trusting each other. Being very explicit.
So,
can I ask a question that's related to the story, but not about that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the DMA, what does that actually mean? Like, is this the fact that you can now sell app stores inside the App Store?
The idea that I don't know what other effects it has, but the effect that it is having in this particular instance is making it so that Apple has to allow people, to able to install other app stores.
But you'd still have to go into the Apple App Store to get an
I guess
app
so.
store,
I guess
right?
there would need to be a source for that.
I know we used
alternative app store.
the term side loading in the story, which I think was also incorrect, if that is the method in which things are going. It's a little confusing with the terminology. That's
the term side loading can mean different things in certain contexts. What they're talking about, and Apple has talked about it as side loading, A lot of people would say that this is not sideloading because like sideloading is usually when you're actually downloading a specific app and getting it onto the device in a non-standard
like
way.
USB or something.
Or like, you know, on Android, you're downloading the actual like the app and you're allowing you're getting it onto your phone through, you know, without going through the normal security procedures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas theoretically a third-party app store would still be, you know, the stuff on this third-party app store would still be within the sort of security boundary of the phone.
Okay. All right. So it's still something that happens within this walled garden area, but now like legally.
Well, I mean, and that's what I wonder, because if you've created a system where it's individual sandboxes for every single app, and they're not supposed to ever intercede on the system files and stuff like that, you're relying upon an awful lot of security that needs to be managed in one place. Because if somebody decides that, if you're just like, it's a free-for-all, like a PC would be, right? It's a lot more of a free-for-all, traditionally.
Yeah.
You have that problem of, how do I keep anything from getting out of control? How do we make things work a certain way or not? Because people in the chat are going to say, well, there's APIs and there's this and there's that, and you have all these systems. I'm like, right, but now you're saying I want to get all my stuff on there and circumvent that, and the phones were never set up in that way to do it right now, and they'll need to be changed.
Well, from what I understand, the idea behind this is not it's not accessing the phone in a way that Apple wouldn't allow.
Right.
Technologically.
Right.
It's more from a business point of view, being able to do in-app purchases and selling apps without Apple taking their cut.
Right.
So it's not like apps that are installed through a third-party app store will be non-sandboxed or will have access to APIs that regular apps don't have.
Yeah.
So there, as far as I know, there's no security thing.
There shouldn't be implications security-wise.
It's all just a money thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be interesting to see how that shakes. I know that the other thing right now is the open web advocacy groups. There's one I think specifically called Open Web Advocacy that is mad at Apple because Apple is effectively killing the web app, where you can't run a thing in a browser and save it onto as an icon on an Apple anymore. And I'm like, okay, is that?
Yeah, some of the idea of installing apps, they're in what I think could be reasonably called a certain amount of malicious compliance. Basically, basically what happened is they were like, Safari, you only allow Safari as the only browser on the device. You can get Chrome and stuff on Apple devices, but it still uses the Safari renderer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the real trick is that the main Safari, the actual like Safari app, has privileges that Chrome or Firefox or some other app from the App Store doesn't have.
Yeah.
Because it's a special app.
Yeah.
And it violates the sandbox in certain ways. One of the things it can do is to do this, install these home screen apps. They're called PWA.
Yeah. A progressive web app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again have capabilities that regular web pages shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Like sending notifications and different things like that. And the EU was like, that's no good. And that's no good.
Mm-hmm.
The EU is run by Sonic from the 90s, apparently. And they were like, you have to allow everybody to do it equally. And Apple was like, okay, we'll just make it so nothing can do the PWAs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens with a lot of
because it's a lot of
game apps that get called out in the EU for like gambling things, and they're like, oh, you have to do this thing now, and if they don't want to make that version different, then
Yeah.
everything that they're just like, oh, we'll just shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just not running in this market.
So, and obviously people who make those kinds of apps, we're not super stoked about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway.
It is obviously this is, phones are like everywhere as a personal computing device.
Yeah.
And I am sympathetic to that idea of, man, I'd like just to be able to write something and make it available and be able to download it onto this and be able to use it. Like, I'm sympathetic to that idea, obviously, because it lets you do things and move and be free and like all that kind of stuff, right? But I'm also sympathetic to, or rather, what I like more is I pick up my phone and I know that my phone works today. I know I can get a call on my phone, or I know I can do all the things that I'm going to do on my phone, right? I know that it's available all the time, and I should not be running into trouble.
To be fair, sometimes the VoIP stuff you use is a little sketchy.
Yeah. I figured out why that wasn't working actually after the fact, which I was like, fuck, I didn't have to leave the VoIP thing at all if I didn't want to. But that was, and it's like, I know that I want my phone to act like this, but I want it to be the way that I've continued to use it, right? And I know there's a lot of other people out there like, no, but I want my phone to just be my computer. I just want it to be like one of these things where I can do whatever I want with it. I can break it in 1,000 different ways. And then I can complain about the fact that because I broke it, it must be the fault of the manufacturer. Because that's ultimately what happens. You know, be honest. Whenever anybody breaks a computer because of some shit that they did, they still will blame it on the manufacturer. And that whole nonsense about, like, it's like, oh, well, the batteries are, like, I have a problem, my battery's wearing out. It's like, yeah, it's because you run all your shit in Chrome, and Chrome is eating your batteries. It likes to run a lot and do what, and I'm like, this is this issue now entering into these other device markets. And I'm like, I'm not looking forward to the next, if Apple was just kind of like, and Google and anybody else who does it, like, just throws open their hands and be like, you know what, fucking everybody install whatever you want and make this happen and let's see what happens. Phones will turn into PCs. That's what will happen. They will have the same problems that we see in all these other devices.
And I mean, depending on what device you buy, you can get that experienced on Android if you want to.
Yeah.
You have to
do some work.
You have to do some work to get it, but
Yeah.
but you can have a more open device. But as a side note, speaking of the freedom on your on a desktop type device, when I booted up this computer today, it had Windows had randomly installed Copilot.
Just what you wanted.
What?
Copilots, they're like AI helper thing. So I had to disable that. I was like, that's a new
Look,
icon. Where did that icon come
Windows. I do not want the news to show up in my taskbar.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want the weather in my taskbar.
So I'm just saying,
just stop putting things in my taskbar.
that we have it bad in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And shifting more towards one way from another way, I don't think is going to fix that problem.
No, probably not. DMA though is specifically EU
Yes.
regulations, so that's this. What the story we're talking about overall is not going to really change things for, say, us in Canada
Or our
Which
friends in Australia.
currently.
To be honest, I find that I do find that like annoying, in the sense that I think there's probably, I'm sure there's lots of interesting stuff that could come out of I know of apps that have sounded interesting that haven't been able to go into the App Store for various reasons.
And I think that the optimistic take on this is that now we have a sandbox full of hundreds of millions of people that we get to see what happens when this occurs. And if it starts as a thing and it becomes actually really good, and people are like, man, my phone's so awesome, it can do X, Y, and Z thing. My iPhone can do X, Y, and Z thing. And you have people in the States being like, mine can't do all those awesome things you just said that yours could. That might increase pressure to actually bring that same kind of activity over here.
Yeah, maybe.
The fact that it's more, and I'm more the idea that your phone, like, or somebody's phone is like, it's detecting where you are and turning features on and off depending on where you are,
Yeah.
I find a little bit
I
annoying.
don't like that so much.
Yeah, I mean that's more of a problem with the idea of it's called is it called geocaching or geolocking?
Geolocating.
Geolocking. The idea that the internet is open and free everywhere unless you're in a country.
Yeah.
We all
Actually,
need to go to space.
Yeah.
hey,
No, wait, I don't want to go to space. Everybody I don't
speaking-
like can go to space.
speaking of things that aren't allowed in the App Store,
Yeah.
emulators.
Ah, yes.
This is sort of a sequel to, well, we didn't actually do a checkpoint last week, so it's not a sequel to that.
No, but we did talk about this on ChillPoint
talked about
last
this
week,
on
and so
ChillPoint.
now we got like updates.
And I guess this is also a addendum or compare and contrast with the nice things we said about Nintendo earlier in terms of the
Oh, absolutely.
the advertising stuff. Because they've come down hard on
Well, they
Yuzu.
last week we talked about that they were
yes
filing a complaint. Is that what you call them?
yes
and
they did come down hard.
And this week it's that Yuzu said, "Why don't we just settle?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this did not go to court. This was settled. And Yuzu Switch Emulator, $2.4 million, which, to be fair, if they have, in fact, $2.4 million to pay this fine with, they were doing really well.
It's true. If they
I
have
don't
that
know.
money.
I don't know if that's like just sort of an arbitrary big number to scare them, or whether that is actually like a number that
I
they
mean,
can
it's probably
afford.
based on, since the complaint involved stuff like Tears of the Kingdom, it probably has to do with some sort of number based on ROMs and sales and
it's
things.
probably not a legally punitive damage, but it probably is it is an effectively punitive damage.
And as we talked about in this story, emulation obviously has many uses that are entirely legal. And as many people pointed out in the comments, Nintendo themselves use emulators in order to operate their virtual console.
They do.
In some cases, open source emulators that they maybe are not complying with the license of.
Yeah.
So, the idea that emulation itself is bad is obviously not true.
I'm not gonna argue about emulation because no, but I will say, in the case of Yuzu, specifically the people who do it, it's incredibly stupid to advertise that if you pay into our Patreon, you'll get the latest updated thing that will play a game that isn't even released yet.
Yep.
That is a dumb idea.
It's a little bit like the
That is really dumb.
it's a little bit like the Warner Brothers Discovery stuff, right? It's like you're not supposed to say that part.
Yeah. We all, and that's what surprised me is I'm like, we have spent decades in this, like, in the thing of like, well, is emulation legal or is it not legal? And then there's been a lot of court cases being like, well, it is legal to do this kind of stuff. It's like, right, but is it legal to break the cryptographic whatever? It's like, well, I don't think it's morally wrong. It's like, that's not what I was asking. And you end up in that position where, because you know what I haven't seen absolutely beat to shit and shut down and never operating ever again is Dolphin. Like we know that Dolphin was like Valve did say to them, it's like you can't put that on the Steam store. We had that whole kerfuffle, right? That ain't the same thing as what's happened here.
Right.
There hasn't been a thing where Nintendo has gone to the mat with Dolphin and said, we are shutting your ass down. You're going to have to go underground. And spread all your code that way, but we're never going to let you have a thing to do X, Y, or Z. There's a different attitude there. And I think that's the same as the attitudes towards also all of the older emulators too. There's, I think, the immediacy of how Yuzu is emulating a recent device, a device that they still make. It has not been superseded by anything else, which has really gotten Nintendo's go here too.
I will also say, like, I read the whole quote that Kathleen read part of the Discord message.
Yeah.
And that quote continues to be like, because that quote's like, oh, we had no idea anyone would use our stuff for piracy. And then later on, that quote's like, we particularly are against the bad actors who play things before they even come out. And I'm like, wow, it just really sounds like you're throwing people under the bus. I bet. Did a lawyer come up with this speech?
Had to have.
There's some, yeah. Now, there's a lot of stuff that was apparently in, private Discord groups and stuff that is like you got access to the Discord group if you were part of the Patreon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How much, Nintendo says certain things were available, other people say other things. Who knows how much stuff was available or sort of officially available and how much of it was, enthusiastic users.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like Nintendo previously, like for the older emulators, Nintendo habitually goes after the people selling or distributing the ROMs, not the actual emulator itself.
Yeah.
But
their biggest problem with the
tied to
emulator.
an emulator.
Yeah. The biggest thing, I think, the biggest reason they had a complaint here is that Yuzu was also saying, here's the keys. Here's how you can, providing that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, because the modern consoles have encryption keys in them that are, and again, the legality or the legality, moral, whatever, of whether an encryption key is copyright or whatever is up for debate.
Mm-hmm.
But often what emulators will do is not include that and include how to get it from your own system or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is often a pain in the butt.
Yes.
And from what I understand, Yuzu did actually include that. So you didn't have to get it from your thing.
Yeah, I'm not clear on that, on exactly how they provided it or whether they were like, it's on this website or go over, click on this link, it'll take you to the place where you can get it. Like, I don't know how much of any of those instructions or whatever, but yeah, it's yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's a tough deal.
I have been in on forums where, and I feel like this is becoming kind of general parlance where people will refer to things like Nintendo ninjas. Oh, they're everywhere and they're whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we need to remember, like, and that's not just Nintendo. You have to remember that just because you have a Discord and you're like, oh, well, you have to pay money to get onto it. Like, yeah, what, are you going to vet people and find out if they work for the company that you're doing that you might want to be worried about? Yeah, they're probably there.
But I mean, hey, they used to have, they probably still do have those disclaimers on emulator ROM websites that say, hey, if you're a police officer, you're not allowed to be here, so you need to leave now. And if you are still a police officer and you're here and you download stuff, that means you can't sue us. I'm like, that is completely legal. Mm. Yeah, that is boilerplate that will cover your ass.
Anyway, so and as folks have said, it was an emulator. Like part of how they worked is that it was actually a free, like Yuzu itself was like a free thing.
Yeah.
But the access to the Patreon stuff gave access to early builds and different things.
Yeah,
like
updated
that.
things that generally worked with newer.
So, as people have said, there are forks and there's other Switch emulators and things that are probably keeping kind of a low profile right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. There are other emulators, definitely. They're forks of this, so probably still being worked on. I don't hear a lot of people talking about was it Citra, though,
yes.
Which is the 3DS emulator, and whether or not that's like okay, or if there's a lot of emulation in that area.
I mean, the fact that we haven't heard anything about Nintendo taking big steps against Citra, and when there are authors out there who definitely have an axe to grind against anything Nintendo does, I think means that Citra's probably not causing the same amount of panic or irritation.
But I thought it was made by the same group, and if the group goes down.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like it kills all the people, right? It's just that it's like the group goes away, whoever the development team is goes away. A lot of them will get back together, form under a completely different name, and do stuff in a different way.
To be fair,
wow.
though.
Yeah, I totally forgot about people doing that on Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean,
the posts that were like,
I
hereby revoke consent. Anyone who's reading this, you can't use any of my stuff on Facebook. And you're like,
yeah. Also,
do you know how terms of service works?
Also, I am a free man on the land, and that gold fringe in your flag means you're using Admiralty law.
To be fair, though, Citra is emulating a old retro console.
Yeah, that's true, right?
So
Yeah.
why would Nintendo care?
No major effect. I feel like, I think we kind of maybe all have a feeling of this. I feel like in a way that's kind of the modern Nintendo attitude has been like, if we aren't selling games against this right now or doing whatever, that we aren't going to take a very aggressive stance against it. We are still interested in shutting down things that we perceive as affecting our copyright. So we will
Yeah.
always be watching what's going on in this space. And we'll do stuff if we get bothered by it.
I don't know how much I agree with that. Like totally.
I'm not saying they're okay with
But
it. I'm just
no,
saying they're like,
I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I definitely don't think they're nearly as aggressive as people make them out to be.
yeah,
I think
But they aren't not aggressive.
yeah,
and I think people sometimes mistake Nintendo not doing something to them
tacitly agreeing to it.
approving of it.
Yes.
And being like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 5 years. Nintendo hasn't said anything. That doesn't matter.
No.
Like, they can come by and mess with you whenever they want. You
Yeah.
know? It's like,
I know there's that whole trademark dilution thing where it's like, well, if people keep saying the word Kleenex and we don't defend it, then we're going to lose it. And it's like
different deal.
different deal.
It's like I remember hearing many years ago now, but it's like, like Tommy Chong got arrested for possession.
Oh, well.
But it's like
Tommy Chong.
It's like the cops just were like, should we arrest him today? Oh, let's just go tomorrow. Like, it's like, yeah, of course he had stuff on him. That's like his entire thing. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, they see you. They haven't gotten, they haven't bothered with you yet because it's not worth it to them. But they see you, and if you get to a point, if you're making a fan version of Mario and Nintendo hasn't talked to you, that doesn't mean they don't know you're there.
Yeah.
It just means they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get to a point where maybe they will care, then something might happen.
And then there's also because I remember this being a topic of conversation when it came to anime music videos, was the idea of like, oh, if you're using music and you're using this anime, they don't care. But then there's always that story of like, oh, this person thought it was really cool and they sent it to the person who makes the music because they're like, have you seen this cool thing that a person's doing? And then they're like, oh, now
If you hadn't told me.
Now I have to care, right? Because there's that like, we definitely don't want you to do a thing, and then there's the, okay, now we have to do a thing.
Yeah.
It's fair use. It's
Feels
all okay.
mentality.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
I don't
kind of
think
like,
people know what fair use is
Yeah.
on either side anymore.
it's, yeah.
anyway, let's move on.
Thank you.
Please.
Helldivers has, we talked about this, and this was in the coming up, that Helldivers did an update that nerfed the railgun, among other things, and added some different stuff. They buffed some other guns, some other
Was the
weapons.
railgun not 5 stars ananymore?
Apparently not.
Sorry, that was an
now
anime
it's a piece of
reference.
crap and nobody likes it. Well, actually. So depending on who you talk to, who you look at, either the railgun is now totally useless and the game is impossible, or it was not that big a change and it's fine. And if you were relying on the railgun the entire time because you couldn't use anything else, then you should just get good. The problem is that one of the people with that latter opinion was like one of the devs from the game, from the thing, and he like jumped into like a Reddit thread and was like, I know I probably shouldn't do
No,
this.
then, yeah, you shouldn't.
He's like,
Stop
I know I
right
probably
there.
shouldn't do this,
Stop.
but I just can't resist fanning
No,
the flames.
No.
You guys need to all get good. Like,
No.
it was just like, come on,
The
man.
first line you're going to write is, I know I shouldn't do this. You should stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
That's lovely.
So there's been there's been some consternation about that particular thing. That dev has now posted like an apology, which was sort of a non-apology. One of those.
Yeah.
He posted one of those like,
I shouldn't have said this.
I shouldn't have said this. I still think it's true, but I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. Clearly, I fucked up because I told you how much you suck at this.
So anyway, and of course there's of course when that happens, the two parts of the discourse are people being like, you know, how dare you insult your users like that?
Yeah.
Uh,
And the other part is like, he's right,
and
you
then
know.
well, but it's like, how dare you insult your users like that? We are rightfully angry.
Sure. I agree.
And also, and then there's the like, you know, your company has PR people.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean that's
although
kind
to
of
be fair, the people making Helldivers, you know, as we've talked about in the past, it's not a big company.
No.
So presumably they have at least one PR person.
I would hope they'd have at least a community manager.
The community manager.
I think it's like 5 people who make the game.
Well, sure, but
But
there's usually other people. Somebody does the taxes.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, but of course, the opposite side of that is people being like, "Hey, everybody who's like, you know, why I hate that, you know, all we're getting out of this company is empty PR statements.
Yeah.
This is what happens when
Didn't
you know,
you want the real?
when like some devs you know put their foot in their mouth, and if everybody just like, you know, completely crucifies the person for that,
Yeah.
then yeah, you're not going to get any update. Like it's just going to be patch notes.
Yeah, you're basically illustrating you're like, oh, I wish we had more contact with the devs because it's so much fun to talk to the devs and hear things and hear the stories and do whatever. It's like, yeah, but if they say something controversial like that and you're like not willing to be like, well, they are still a person and it's not really a shitty opinion, it's just a mean opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and it has to do with the video game, right? It has nothing to do with like a minority group. It's like, okay, it just has to do with the video game.
Yeah.
Then you got to be like, oh, he's giving us gas, and that's not really fair. But all right, we wanted this. You know, kind of sucks.
So, I would imagine now, and to be fair to this particular dev, I forget what his name is, but to be fair to this particular dev, apparently he was not like there in the like Helldiver Discord.
Mm-hmm.
There was other devs from the company stirring up crap. So, I'm sure there was a company wide. You know, hey everybody, let's stop making everybody angry for no reason.
Yeah,
How
hey
about that?
everybody.
It's like, I know that you know, when everyone got angry about this update that we thought improved things,
Yeah.
that didn't feel great.
Yeah.
But this is not a good way to fix this. This will not help.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like I when I was younger, I used to get into arguments online too because it felt like you couldn't help it and whatnot, and especially in our own Discord, I've definitely learned that when people want to start talking about a thing, I don't have to go in there and explain our decisions.
Yeah.
Because that's not really what they're doing. They're being a community. They're talking about a thing. They're not actually asking us directly. And I don't have to go in there and have what is essentially the same business meeting I had earlier that day with 6 people with 30.
Yeah. Or 300.
And that's okay.
Yeah. We're glad to have
But I
you
kind
as
of get
fans.
it. I kind of get that feeling of like, oh, I want to say something. I want to explain a thing. It's like, but do I have to?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. It's okay to not.
Yeah. It's hard on the controversial stuff, right? Because every one of us in this company all has an opinion and they don't always align either. But to operate as a business, we have to, you know,
Yeah, I mean, usually what I try to respond to is when people are like,
we have to not make trouble for each other.
there seems to be a problem with this video, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go check on that maybe, because
Yeah.
And you know,
that kind of thing, or oh, hey, we didn't get to this thing is going up late, if I can remember, and I'm not in the busy trying to make it go up on.
and it's like, you know, people are people.
Yeah,
And devs are people too, and content creators are people too,
Yeah.
and they make mistakes. And sometimes, especially when you're in the kind of one-to-many situation that content creation and community stuff gets you into a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you put out a piece of content that 1,000 people watch, 990 people like it, 10 people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But those 10 people are the people who are motivated to respond to you.
Yeah.
And 10
So-
people yelling at you can feel like a lot of people yelling at you.
Yeah, I mean, even
And it
two
can feel
people
like you
online
need,
can feel
and
like
it
a
can
lot of
feel like you
people.
need to respond to that.
Yeah, and to clarify, it's like I don't think there's actually anything that wrong with him going onto Reddit and doing that. I cringe in reaction at the idea of if I did this is the stress and the mess that would have to enter my brain,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want to do it.
And it frustrates me to see something like this as somebody, you know, when you deal with sort of community stuff. It frustrates me when you see, especially when they're like sort of explicitly being like, I'm going to be a little bit naughty.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's
picture-
like, I know I shouldn't be doing this,
Yeah.
but I want to be, you know. And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Instead,
Sorry.
I'll just write an episode of
Paul,
ChillPoint.
Yeah.
Paul's just like, I'm gonna be a little bit naughty, and all I can imagine is Paul with like a piece of chocolate cake that day, being like, I'm gonna be a little bit naughty today.
Yeah. Or deleting 1,000 random people off the Discord. You know, a little bit naughty.
No, that's pretty. But that would probably be more of an Adam thing. I could see Adam pulling that if he wanted to. And I don't think Adam would ever do anything that's like permanent in the thing. But I could totally see him booting 1,000 people for a laugh.
I could see him booting 1,000 people and then like not knowing how to fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
So it would end up being permanent.
Very
accidentally.
much. I'm a genius. Oh no, moment. Yeah.
Uh,
I would absolutely hit the purge button, MTV. You have no idea.
Anyway, let's move on to stories that we didn't talk about last during the episode of Checkpoint. There's not too many.
It's good because I was like, I swear I had something else I wanted to say in regards to this topic. And I'm like, we're probably better to move on at this point.
It's fine.
Follow the example
Yeah.
that they did not set, and
Sometimes
don't say the thing.
sometimes we can just move on.
Sometimes we can do that.
Let's see here. MLB The Show 24.
Are you ready
is-
for some baseball?
Yes, that's
right.
the
Baseball, not
that's-
basketball.
That's the big baseball game. Is going to be premiering a new what do they call them?
Women.
What?
Sorry.
Road to the Show. That's the thing. That's what it's called. Yes. MLB
tight.
The
I
Show
wanna hit
invented
you.
women.
So much.
That's the point of the thing, though.
I
Yeah.
know, but still.
They're adding a new. So women have been in MLB have been as players in the thing for a while.
Yeah.
MLB The Show has, from what I understand, a quite developed
RPG system?
sort of campaign mode called
Okay.
Road to the Show.
Cool.
And so they are adding a new Road to the Show sort of second, sort of, so there's two different stories that you can go through.
Okay.
And this one's called Road to the Show, Women Pave Their Way.
Ah.
So it's effectively a second campaign. And a unique to women storyline following a lifelong friendship as it develops in professional baseball. So according to the narrative designer, Molly Bradley,
Okay.
Browley, it's not enough, she argued, to merely add women to the show's career mode.
Agreed.
But I wanted to illustrate the immense importance of community and support amongst the small but ever-growing group of women in baseball. And so, to that end, women players will the women players create in this mode. So you have a custom character, will have a buddy named Maya Lewis, a childhood friend and fellow baseball player who will function as a sounding board, a support system, and a competitive player in her own right. Your relationship with her in the game will grow and develop throughout your career.
Oh, we're gonna have social links.
So that sounds kind of cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still don't want to play it because I don't want to play a baseball game.
Yeah, but you know,
But you know, I'm for a person being like, hey, maybe we should do more.
They don't have to be roommates.
they can be friends who are just
Yeah,
friends.
they
Yeah,
can just be
there's-
friends.
They
don't have to be,
The word
but
you're
they-
looking for is teammate.
Yeah.
Teammate.
Mm-hmm. I think that's though. I think it's also a great take because traditionally these modes, wherever you're like, it's always you against the world, right? I'm a
Right.
rookie player and I'm the hottest goddamn thing on the market, and all these superstars are coming in, and I get a chance to talk to them, but I get to be like, yeah, you know, I'm here and I'm going to be so much better than you, and like that kind of like fronting that attitude. And it's like this is really positioning right off the front. It's like you get along with this person, you guys have been friends for a while, and depending on how you act and like interact with her, that will probably have an effect on how your career goes as well. And I mean, a lot to be said about maybe what you want to do is really get along with your teammates, and that could even lead to.
I mean, it sounds like this person might be could also be like a rival too.
I think the idea of having if more of these kind of sports campaigns things take that attitude of the way that role-playing games have, where it's like, if you choose to get along with these people, then you will have a better experience. But if you choose not to get along with them, you will have a different experience. Even Paragon or Renegade, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I would also argue that the fact that the joke that immediately comes to mind when you're talking about the, a women's campaign or a campaign centered around a female character.
Yeah.
For this thing is that it's going to be turned into some kind of dating sim.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's probably a bad thing. That's what comes to that's the joke. So maybe it could just actually be a cool experience.
The calling
This
out
too
for
is Yuri.
roommates is a meme thing.
I know.
I don't think that's on the game itself.
But I agree that it is like, which is actually funny too, because when I read this, the bits of it, trying to decide what story I was going to write for ChillPoint, at no time did it occur to me that I was like, oh, I could totally turn this into how would Beej react to this, the big Yuri fan? How would he react to the women have this? Have a story in the game, and it's you have a trusted whatever, and oh my god, they were teammates, and like that kind of thing. It's like that never occurred to me at all as a way to treat it. You know,
Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
See, chat. You just put that in your own brain.
Yeah. Never even got to me.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's do a little guessing game.
Okay.
Little show and tell.
5.
10. Let's
32.
see
Grover.
if you how long it takes for you to figure out what this is talking about.
What happens when you combine?
Okay.
So, go or I'm sorry. What?
Space D&D. Is this a tabletop thing?
Is that they'll be able to look at every tabletop game on Earth? Oh my god!
The official NASA role-playing game.
The game master asks one wild question, like, do you poop in space? In the Hubble Space Telescope. Uh-huh. Okay.
Are you on a quest to find it? Is this Spelljammer? So why are we using this typeface?
Why are we... Wait, did the Space
Holy
Hubble
shit!
Telescope go to another planet? And that's
Hubble
why
was
it's...
stolen by a dragon.
Oh, I see. Why?
Because if there have to be dragons, what is happening? It's eating its own tail.
What?
I don't know about that logo, but...
Was it shiny and the dragon was like, yes, I want that? Like, or wait, the dragon can fly in space? It's space dragon?
You know those whatever flat Earth / like moon landing denier people who are like, everything NASA puts out is just CG.
Yeah.
This is not going to help their case. NASA's case, I mean.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know how it is, right? They totally faked the moon landing. It looks so realistic, like this dragon.
Oh, dear.
Christ.
Why?
Now I admit that's only sort of peripherally video game related because it's a tabletop
I'm
RPG.
so glad
it's a
you brought it
tabletop
up.
RPG, but it's a NASA tabletop RPG
I feel like we definitely needed to experience
Where-
this as a group.
where a dragon steals the Hubble Space Telescope. Yeah, everyone. This is what NASA does when they want to do CG.
Look, I know
they aren't
I know,
very good at it.
I know we're
They're
supposed
really
to be
good
like,
at flying spaceships, though.
I know we're supposed to be like dragons aren't real or whatever. But shouldn't the dragon be able to breathe in space? Like,
I don't know. I hope they have some
how
answers.
long did it take this dragon to fly from this unknown planet to steal a Hubble telescope?
I hope they have some answers. Like I hope there's some like science-based answers in this RPG.
Are they going to have to chase after the telescope through spacesuits and then show up and then suddenly it's all fantasy?
Because like if the dragon is if the telescope is orbiting the Earth,
Right.
it's going at like thousands and thousands of miles an hour.
Which means that the dragon has to be able to catch up to it so that they can be going the same speed so that it can steal it.
Yeah.
I hope when they find
There's
it.
a lot of questions that need to be answered clearly.
I hope when they find it, it's part of a horde that's just like a pile of a lot of like electronics from other planets as well. Like just because, well, I mean, if a dragon's supposed to hoard gold and treasures and stuff, and it deems floating technology in space to qualify, it better not be like, oh, there's a pile of gold and then the Hubble telescope. I want it to be like just a pile
just like weird flying
of like,
saucers and
yeah.
That thing is
Satellites.
ruined though. Like the moment that the dragon came along and did an unscheduled,
It's not like the dragon's gonna use it.
because it's got like tinfoil on the outside.
and very delicate components.
It's not actually like because the hope is that it isn't going to hit anything in space.
Yeah, if it went and got the James Webb, that's it. You're done. Like
Yeah, I
there's no
guess
way
you
you
just
get
make
those mirrors
another.
back in
You
alignment.
just make a new one, right?
You just
wouldn't
make a
go
new
after
Hubble.
a magical dragon.
Yeah. But you know what? Actually, now that you say that, that is exactly what D&D players would do. They'd be like, "Oh, well, this telescope's been stolen by a dragon, and the dragon went that way, and you can just see him leaving right now. What do you want to do? We'll make a new telescope." Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I didn't have any notes for that,
Now-
but that's what we're doing now.
I will say that this is almost certainly not in the D&D world.
Oh, I see. Shadowrun. Then they have dragons.
I say that because
And tech.
the deeper you go, when you start getting into how space works in D&D, it's incredibly bonkers.
It's like voluminous ether.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's the big pirate ship, there's Spelljammer, the big
Yeah.
pirate ships. Like planets are like enclosed in these like crystal spheres. It's like not. It's what I like that it's this weird aspect of D&D where it's like on the ground. It's like sword and sorcery, fairly or average stuff, and then as it gets like more and more severe, it's like, oh, this is going way out of weird. Anyway,
That's good.
speaking of things that are weird, hey, look. It's the perfect thing to draw on the side of an Xbox.
Oh, it is. Because I couldn't figure out what it was supposed to be.
SpongeBob Square X. Series X, Square Series X? I don't know.
X-Pants.
Yeah, SpongeBob X Pants.
Oh, have we not talked about this before? I guess not.
Is this a vinyl wrap?
Well, it's just I've seen
No,
it
it's
quite
a special
bit.
edition
Oh, I see.
for All-Star Brawl 2, which I feel really cheapens the whole thing. The logo for All-Star Brawl 2 on the side.
Well, what you
I
don't
see
know,
it now,
Paul,
yeah.
what you don't know is that once SpongeBob joined the
He was
the
branded.
thing, well, he got a tattoo.
You got a
And
tattoo?
he put it under his armpit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Jesus, that's intense. Have that scream at you. Try to get that into your.
I love, and the controller is like one of his eyes is replaced.
Yeah, I don't like the controller at all.
Actually, everybody's eyes have a button interacting with them. Woof.
Because it just feels weirdly laid out. The yeah, I would
lay that
want.
thing on
I
its
would
side
definitely
and-
be like, okay,
So-
how do I hide this Xbox so that it cannot scream at me all
Unlike-
times of the day?
Unlike some other special edition Xboxes we've shown off, this is actually like not just a giveaway or something.
Right.
This is actually available through Best Buy
Right. So you can purchase
in
this
limited
horror for
quantities
yourself.
starting yesterday for $700 American. That is quite a markup.
Series
from,
X?
Yeah, wait.
from what a Series X
That's
costs normally.
way more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a control. Wait, they come with controllers, right?
I hope so.
I don't know what's
Video
going
game consoles
on.
don't come with controllers these
I don't
days.
understand you anymore.
Yeah, normally a Series X would cost you $550,
Yeah.
and this is $700. So it's
But be careful. It might be so big they can't ship it to your door, and you'll need to try to reorder it a second time.
Okay.
Heather had an experience
So,
trying to buy a Switch game.
I tried to buy a Switch game off of Best Buy the other day because Unicorn Overlord's coming out soon, and I was like, I'll just pre-order it, and a lot of places were sold out, and I was like, oh, Best Buy still has theirs.
does it come in a unicorn? Why?
No, but that's the thing. I clicked and
Must.
I said, yeah, please ship to my house, and then the cart came up, and a big banner across it said that the item that I was trying to purchase was too large to be sent to a store and needed to be shipped to my house. And I was like, that's what I asked you to do, but also it's a Switch game. I don't know what you mean.
Best Buy sells refrigerators.
Is
How
it-
big is this Switch game?
Is it a Switch game like inside a refrigerator box with
Not,
like a
not
lot
as
of
far
padding?
as I know.
Cool. Well, let us know how
Well,
it
no,
arrived.
I had to get it from a different
Oh,
store
you
because
did?
I
Oh.
literally couldn't get the cart to accept the idea that I wanted to pay for it.
Yeah, she had to go to Walmart instead because Walmart sells smaller refrigerators.
I mean,
Apparently, that's the limit. Yeah.
if it comes as a refrigerator, that will be very surprising.
I mean, no, the refrigerator is an Xbox thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would totally take a unicorn to live in our yard. Or an overlord.
I don't know if our neighbors would be happy about it. Though.
Shit sprinkles and like,
I'm pretty sure we have laws in our building about pets being under a certain weight.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be in the building, right? It would be
Feel
just
like-
wandering
I
around
feel
the
like
garden.
they'd still be
And
unhappy.
would it be a pet? Technically,
A unicorn?
I
don't
feel
know
like
if you
they've
can
got
own
kind
a
of their own
unicorn.
thing going on.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't own a unicorn.
You have to
No.
remember too, the Vanillaware did the artwork for this, so it's one of their unicorns.
Which means it has like 6 horns.
Probably.
Anyway, yes. SpongeBox SquarePants.
Horrifying. And I do want to reiterate, if you enter a friend's house, and I know that's that's a large bar for a lot of us these days. If you enter a friend's house and you see this thing screaming in their living room, they chose to buy that.
Well, I mean, speaking as someone, I have who has I have a limited edition Gears of War Xbox 360
Right.
that I did not choose.
Mm-hmm.
It was given to me when we did a.
Oh, for Unskippable.
No, it was actually a thing. It was a thing with WotC. It was a like game with fame thing where they stretched the definition of fame a little bit.
30 under 30.
So it was like they gave us a bunch of stuff and we had a special. It was a special day where we were on. In this case, I think it was back in like Duels of the Planeswalkers,
Okay.
which was on console. And so in order for us to play it, they gave us all
Xboxes.
360. That was part of the payment.
Yeah.
But the problem was that they couldn't really ship them. I guess they couldn't ship them from the States fast enough, and so they bought them. They were like bought them locally, and did it.
And they had to buy whatever was available.
And they had to buy whatever's available. So I have a Gears of War Special Edition Xbox,
Which is weird because, like,
which is
if Wizards had
kind of
just
ugly.
if
but
Wizards had just made custom faceplates for Duels of the Planeswalkers and
That'd
been
be
like, you
cool.
guys can all have
Wait,
those.
Is it one of those ones that has like the special sound effects and stuff?
it does.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Those
it's
are funny.
yeah. It's like it's dark red and black, like sort of camo.
Hot?
And yeah, it's one of two Xbox 360s that were made, the special edition Xbox 360s that were made with an additional speaker in them. The other one is the Star Wars special edition.
That probably makes lightsaber sounds.
Yeah, and it's so the entire purpose of it is when you push the eject button on the disc, it goes, and then when you push it again, it goes.
Is that the sound of you ejecting like a shell or a?
I guess. Like, it's not a very high quality speaker, so it just sounds like. I'm assuming the Star Wars one has like a lightsaber noise or something.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway.
folks, look it up on eBay and find out what Paul can get for his used Xbox.
Probably, yeah. It's pretty beat up, so I doubt.
You never
You
know.
know what we could do? If you ever want to get rid of it for any reason, just have everybody who gamed with Fame sign it, and we'll throw it into a Desert Bus as a lot. But don't get rid of it. Keep it forever.
Balatro,
Yeah.
the name of which apparently has had they had somewhat controversial in terms of pronunciation.
Yeah, I think they put out a statement saying how it was supposed to be pronounced, and I didn't read it, so I will keep calling it Balatro.
I believe the statement was you can pronounce it however you want.
Oh, well, then it doesn't matter.
Depending on, basically, I think it was actually that there are like 3 different ways, depending on whether you go by like the Latin or depending on what version had like how you want to interpret it, and they're fine with any of them.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
this story I found earlier today, but it came up at like the beginning of March.
I didn't know what the story was, so I had to look over your shoulder. This is amazing.
This is why I wanted us to talk about it.
Great.
Yeah.
I have a follow-on to this, by the way.
So yeah.
Okay, well, Balatro, if as many know, is a very addictive playing game based on what I've seen people say. That involves
Serge was really enjoying it.
kind of like poker hands stuff. It's a roguelike kind of deal.
In fact, I believe Serge put it as his game of the year.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people describe it that way. It
in March, which
sounds pretty neat.
It's
so
a choice.
He's
it
counter-streaming
was-
it right now.
It was rated Peggy 3. And then overnight, probably due to an automated system thing, it got listed as Peggy 18 plus and
18
delisted
plus.
from a bunch of storefronts because of it.
Whoops.
Or
For having poker theming or
Gambling imagery.
gambling imagery.
because it has cards in it,
Well, you do make poker hands, from what I understand.
right? But do you bet money? Like
No.
not real
No.
money, like even chips or whatever. You're just
No,
making poker.
you're not
hands.
even playing a proper.
You're not
poker.
playing poker.
You're making a combination of stuff with
Yeah.
cards, and they have to be
yeah,
a thing.
it happens to
Yeah.
use the poker scoring
Yeah.
system.
In fact, my understanding is the person who made the
Woof.
game doesn't play poker, doesn't know how to play poker, just used theming and stuff from it.
and is strongly against gambling.
Yeah.
It's what I found interesting about this story is that there's been a couple of things we've talked about where things like Pokemon games, because they have the
casino from
they
the
have
first
like
game.
they have like a casino or like a slot machine mechanic in them
Yeah,
get bumped up in because it's like there's gambling in it.
right. In
Yeah.
retrospect, yeah.
Or they get taken out in the remakes.
Oh,
Or they
Christ.
get taken out. Yeah.
That means that every Dragon Quest game is at least 18 plus at this point, because you not only can you go to casino, but you can play Puff Puff.
But this game, but this game doesn't have any gambling in it, but it uses the trappings of poker, which is a game that can
Yeah,
have gambling in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's the rating got changed overnight, it seems, and then because the rating got changed, there are a number of stores that don't allow for 18 plus games on their storefronts,
Yeah.
and so they got delisted.
Basically, any storefront you
Yeah.
automatically get kicked out.
Peggy
Yeah.
18.
So, and I don't know if the rating is different on other stores or if this is just
Because Peggy is the European.
yeah,
rating
it's the
system.
European
Yeah.
thing.
So, follow on to the Balatro conversation, though, if we have explored how funny this is. 'Cause
I mean,
it really
I
is.
assume this will get reversed at some
quote,
point.
Yeah, Balatro does not allow or encourage gambling, and we fundamentally believe the ratings decision is unfounded. Balatro is developed by somebody who is staunchly anti-gambling, and painstaking care has been taken to ensure the game does not feature gambling mechanics of any kind.
Interesting.
Pretty hard to. It's a pretty definitive statement.
That's going to be a hell of an argument
Yeah.
to have with the
I-
ratings authority.
I've literally seen comments on this game on the because Serge has been playing it on one more, probably other places as well. But he's got a couple episodes on, one more up on the VOD's channel. I've seen people post comments that are like, I am watching him play while I play because I need to be that efficient at consuming my Balatro content.
Ooh, and Shirtal, adds FIFA 23, full of all those loot box mechanics, is still rated 3 and up.
Yeah, and that's kind of where you get weird, right?
Yeah.
But it's got, this looks like poker.
Yeah.
So it's got that, it immediately sort of triggers that mentality.
Whereas a thing that is, getting you to salivate over cracking open gacha games. Yeah, that's because if you try to make a FIFA an 18+ game, then I don't know what happens.
It limits your marketplace is what making an 18+ game.
But
does.
ultimately, what really happens? I mean, you'll still have kids who want to play, the 5-year-olds who want to play.
Oh, sure,
the game,
like
so,
that.
yeah.
That's true. But that's like the reason they don't want to hit that 18+ rating.
Yeah, it's like getting an R rating when you're trying to win an Oscar. It's
especially when there are storefronts that won't allow you to sell a game with that kind of rating.
So, an interesting thing I found out about Balatro. Do you know what it's programmed in?
Oh, right. That
Pearl.
Lua.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's because it uses
Love 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Love 2 or Love 2D. Whatever. It uses a framework. And so interestingly, someone discovered that if you right-click on the exe file and treat it like it's a zip file instead, you can get all the game code out of it. And then you can just run it in the Linux Love 2D implementation, and you can just run it natively in Linux.
It's cool. So yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's not like it's open source,
No,
but
it's
you
not.
can basically access the source code.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Lua is a scripting language, so like it's not compiled,
It's just
which is kind of cool.
It is minorly terrifying to me, the idea that it's like, oh no, that's right. If you distribute this game and people are paying for it, but it's like, right, if you just take the exe and you get the code out of it, you could run it on other platforms and you don't have to pay this person for it, which is a terrible thing.
I mean, it's it's copy. Yeah, it's
Copyright.
illegally copying the game, which it's happened.
Yeah.
But
a really neat thing
it
to find
reminds me a little bit of like back in the day with like taking like a HyperCard game or something.
Right. Yeah. Because ultimately that just runs in a stack in HyperCard.
Yeah, like the original version of like Myst. You could do that. You could go and mess around with it and be like, I have all the stuff.
I should look to
Hack,
see
hack,
if my
hack.
old Pokemon game still functions or if it needs a new battery so I can play Voltorb Flip.
I saw that brought up in chat too. Yeah.
Advertised.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah. Oh, right. And that was the other thing is Mataus C points out the positive side of this is that Balatro modding has, I guess, kind of already gotten a bit of a role. And now people are like, wait, that means that if we can just access the code, we can mod this however we want. And which means that technically people could give rise to whole new variations on how the game operates and what it can do.
I mean, I've played.
And I think that's a really interesting idea.
How long until somebody adds gambling back into the
Yeah,
game?
exactly. Right.
I've played a couple of like Slay the Spire mods and stuff, so I could see that because like Balatro has like a bit of a deck building mechanic in it. From what I understand, you want to get like jokers, and then there's like other cards that make other cards more expensive when you sell them and do different things. So you're not like, I don't know if you start with a standard deck, but you're definitely not using a standard deck after a while.
It's funny because this could actually turn into then not just a game that you bought on a console or on Steam or whatever, but it could turn into a standard game, like a game that people are like, oh, this is a thing I could implement in other places. A game that you could add into other games, a game that you can modify and make new rule sets for. Like Solitaire has Klondike, but it also has Spider and Tri-Peaks and Free Cell and all those kind of things. It's like this could be a similar kind of idea where it's like, well, now that I have the rule set for how this works, I could adapt it into other things, which would still end up infringing upon the person who has made the game, came up with the idea in the first place. But you could end up having like a longer range effect that you are unaware of.
I believe the developer has talked about some sort of official mod support in the future.
Yeah, I mean at minimum
because obviously while it's possible, like having an easy way to find mods and add mods and things is a whole
Yeah,
separate
I mean,
thing.
like at minimum, I would expect like in terms of like solitaire, you can change the card backs and stuff. So I could see somebody just adding things that are like, oh, here's some imagery of different aesthetics.
Yeah.
That could be fun to have because you're staring at cards for a long time. Sometimes you want it to look a little different.
It could be the new Winamp skins.
Yes.
Oh, Winamp skins.
This though also to me is interesting in the fact that beyond Balatro, if like other games programmed using these frameworks getting released, and because it never occurred to me, it's like, oh right, yeah, if an exe file is ultimately just like a zip file, and how it's being interpreted and all this kind of stuff, it's like, right, there's no cryptography involved. There's nothing sort of sewing that up. If people find their way into playing with a lot of different Lua games, there's a thing there where it's like that could give rise to all sorts of stuff happening.
Yeah,
in those games.
we're at the point where computers are powerful enough and stuff that real, quote unquote, real games, serious games are being made in these scripting languages.
Yeah.
where it is a lot more accessible.
And we were already seeing that with like Python and stuff too. Yeah, a lot of Python gaming like that.
Like if I knew more, like if I'd actually played the game and I knew more about how it worked, I could probably think of other mod style things because again I played a Slay the Spire mod for some sort of rhythm based thing that they had done, and for that mod it was like they made a different character and then they made cards that worked with that character because that's how Slay the Spire kind of works.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Cool. And finally, last thing we've talked about Pokemon in various contexts today. There's a new Pokemon-ish game coming out in the same way that like say Pal World is Pokemon-ish. Although this one is probably less
Is this one
copyright
more Pokemon-ish or is it less Pokemon?
This is less copyright infringement-ish, but I like that this one, Pokemon, it's got a little bit of, there's that aspect of when you really look at it, you're capturing, beating up these creatures, capturing them, sticking these little balls, and then forcing them to fight each other.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it's supposed to be something that they enjoy doing, according to the lore. But Pal World makes that sort of more explicit by literally you put them to work and give them guns, and you can work them to death.
Yeah.
To make it a little more.
But that's what I mean. Is it more like that, like more the darker thing, or is it more of our like cartoony fun thing?
Well, this one, rather than catching the Pokemon in Pokeballs,
Wait, I know this.
You play your flute to attract them. Rather than beating them up until you can catch them in a Pokeball,
We got a Pied Piper thing going
You
on.
just become a badass musician.
you give them belly scratches.
Hey. Oh, and it's you're hunting them for photos and
And
they do things.
doing some environmental puzzling and that kind of stuff.
this is
This
cool.
looks pretty neat, actually.
There's nobody else in this environment that looks like you. So this feels very isekai. Like you ended up here and you're not supposed to be here.
Well, they showed a bit of a town. So.
Yeah, but they didn't show the people they showed did not look like this person.
She does look a little bit like Jade from Beyond Good and Evil,
Ah.
without the green, but
This
still.
is Incredulous Passerby says
Creatures
this is a Pokemon Ranger style game. Creatures of Ava.
Yeah.
Pokemon Ranger was really good.
Anyway,
That's cool.
I mostly like the headline or the sort of thing of like, instead of catching them in Pokeballs, you give them head scratches and belly rubs.
Yeah, instead of giving them guns, you give them hugs. That's a good
How
headline.
much better would the world be if instead of giving Pokemon guns, we gave them
I could just ride on the back of a white tiger. That's all I want.
Gonna add that to my wish list.
I mean, I feel like that theoretically could be accomplished, but the white tiger might not like it very much.
Exactly, right?
Look, you can't be the fluffy princess, whatever, out of the anime.
I want my
The
picture
white
taken.
tiger will eat you.
I want my picture taken with a tiny white Siberian tiger cub.
And you have to. That's one of those things that, as you get into your 40s, you start to have to come to terms with. You're not going to be the little girl princess from the anime.
It's true.
And that's just something you have to. You have to admit deep down.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't.
What's
The
the,
harder-
actual
the harder-
name of it?
the
Because all I
harder
can
part-
remember is calling it Fluff Fluff.
Fluffy Paradise is
Okay,
what we're
thank
calling
you.
it in English. It has a much longer name in Japanese. What you have to you come to terms with initially that it's like, oh, actually, I would very much like to have been that character in the first place, and then you come to terms with the fact that you will never be that character. So 2 of those.
But
things.
you know what? That doesn't mean that you can't dream. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us on ChillPoint. If you haven't seen this week's episode of Checkpoint, you should. It is up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/LRRVG. It's our video game channel.
That's where this video is too.
Yeah, if you're watching it here, it's probably somewhere near this video in the recommended section. But for now, we will talk to all y'all later.
Bye.